Hello everyone, my name is Hubert and welcome to the Teach Me channel. Today we are going to talk about A-level inheritance. So we are still on the topic of inheritance, however we are going to take it up a notch. So in order for you to sort of understand this video, you will need to know the basics of inheritance, the basic ways alleles are inherited, and the basic rules of inheritance and how to make genetic diagrams. So if you don't know how to do that, click on the link in the description below. There is a video that will explain it all for you. Okay, moving on. Let's get started. So first thing we need to understand is what are codominant alleles and how do we work out the inheritance that involves codominant alleles. Now, codominant alleles are alleles such as, previously we had dominant or recessive. So if you put dominant with a recessive, dominant will be the one that will show. Dominant will be the phenotype. However, if you put codominant alleles together, as the name suggests, they are both dominant. What it means is that if you put codominant alleles together, then you will get a completely different phenotype to that what you would get with any single one of those alleles. So I will show you exactly what I mean, and I will show you how to work out the codominant alleles and how to work it out on a genetic diagram. So let's take this for example. Cows. A certain species of cows can be either brown or it can be white, depending on alleles it has. So let me draw it out for you. So if they have the B allele, then they are brown. If they have the W allele, then they are white. However, if they have B and W, they actually develop spots. They are spotted. So how do we work this out on a gene diagram? Well, let's see. So let's kick it off with parents and their genotypes. Okay, so parents, let's say they are both spotted. So their genotype, and if they are spotted, they have to have B and W. So their genotype is both of them have those two alleles together. As we know, the alleles come in pairs. So they both have B and W alleles, which makes them spotted. So that's their phenotype. Spotted. Okay. Now, how do we do a genetic diagram? Well, the good news is we do it exactly the same way. We don't have to change anything. We do it exactly the same way, only the result will be different. So we draw up a Punnett square. Again, if you are not sure how to make up a Punnett square, check out the video in the description. So we draw up a Punnett square, and same as before, we put the parents' alleles on each of the sides. So one parent is BW and the other parent is BW. And same as before, we put these together in a table-like manner to figure out the genotype of the offspring, statistically speaking. So here we have B with B, here we have BW, here we have BW, and here we have WW. Now, let's summarize offspring genotype. So let me write this down for you. Offspring genotype. So we have 25% brown, BB. we have 50% BW. And we have 25% of WW. Now, what does it mean about with phenotype? Let's move that over there. What does it mean with phenotype? Well, let's see. So, we got 25% of BB. So these guys are going to be brown. So 25% brown. We have 50% BW. So 50% of them, as we show here, will be spotted. And finally, we have 25% WW, 25% WW, 25% WW, which means white. 25% white. Okay, so these are our genotypes, these are our phenotypes. As you can see, codominant alleles work very, very similarly to what you are used to the dominant and recessive alleles. Only difference is in the phenotype you get, because now it's codominant. Okay, so let's move on. Let's move on to multiple alleles. And what do I mean by that? I mean that normally, so far, you've been working with 2 alleles that can affect a single characteristic. Now, you might have to work with more than 2 alleles that affect a single characteristic. So now, I'm going to show you exactly how everything works through an example. So without further ado, let's get into it. So as you know, everybody has their blood group type. And the sort of the most important system to name those blood group types is the ABO blood group system. I'm going to put it down here. Okay, so ABO blood groups. As we know, people can be A, people can have B type blood, people can have O blood type, or people can have AB blood type. So, what is happening here? If somebody has a O gene that codes for the O group, it is recessive gene. Now, if somebody has A or B, these types are codominant. Same B. So as we talked about codominance here now, we are going to have to use codominance in multiple allele scenario. So now, as you can see, there are 3 different alleles that somebody can get. 3 different alleles instead of 2. And we need to take that into account when we make our genetic diagram. Luckily, it isn't too different. It's not that different. It just takes a bit of consideration. I will show you. Let's get to it. So, for example, parents have genotypes as follows. One parent has A, but with O. You can notice how I put O as a smaller case. Now this is quite useful because it allows me to see that O is recessive. It allows me to see that straight away. So I put dominant stuff in a big case, in a capital, and the lowercase letters are the recessive ones. So one of the parents is AO, and the other parent is BO. Now what are their phenotypes? Their phenotypes are, let me write it down. Their phenotypes are A and B. So the O is recessive, so you can't see it here in phenotype. Now, how do we do a genetic diagram for this? Well, it's no different. We still draw up a Punnett square, like this, split it in 4 as normal. So we have A here, we have O here, we have B here, we have O here. And we do it exactly the same way. A with B will give you AB. B with O will give you BO. A with O will give you AO. And O with O will give you OO. Okay. So this is our genetic diagram. Now what is happening with offspring? Let me put it down here. Now, what are their genotypes? Well, their genotypes. We have one window that's AB, so 25% AB. One window is BO, so 25% BO. One window AO, so 25% AO. And one window of OO, 25% OO. Okay, what about phenotype? Let me write it down here. I'm going to shorten it. Pheno. What's their phenotype? Well, 25% of them are AB because A and B are codominant. So 25% of them are AB. Now, here we have A with O, which is recessive. So they will have blood group of A. So 25% A, 25% B, and 25% O. So in this scenario, they have offspring would have equal chance of getting any of these blood types in such a scenario that in this genetic makeup, in this sort of genotype of parents, the offspring actually would have equal chance of getting any of these types. Okay, so this is how you work out multiple alleles. Now, let's move on to the final thing we need to learn, and that is... Okay, so now we need to discuss how to consider more than one characteristic. So we talked about multiple alleles that coded for one characteristic. However, now we need to think about going back to 2 alleles per characteristic, but how do we deal with more than one characteristic? What do I mean by that? I will show you. So, for example, let's work it through an example. That's the best way to explain. So let's consider pea plants. Now, pea plants can have round seeds, wrinkle seeds, yellow seeds, or green seeds. So, what do I mean? Pea plants can have allele R, capital 1, because it's a dominant allele, for round seeds, and also pea plants can have a lowercase r for wrinkled seeds, and they can have allele Y for yellow seeds, that's the dominant one, and lowercase y for green seeds. Okay, now what we need to know is that these are 2 different characteristics. So you can have round seed yellow seeds, or you can have wrinkled yellow seeds, or you can have wrinkled green seeds, and so forth. So let's work through an example. We have parents, and their genotype is as follows. Capital R, lowercase r, capital Y, lowercase y, and also the other parent, capital R, lowercase r, capital Y, lowercase y. And their phenotype, therefore, must be round seeds, because we have the dominant allele for round seeds, and they have yellow seeds because we have the dominant allele for that. Now, what will be the possible phenotypes of the offspring and what the ratio will be? Well, we need to construct a genetic diagram. How do we do that? How do we do that when we have more than one characteristic? Well, we combine them both into one big genetic diagram. Now, let's think about it like this. In a genetic diagram, we need to include one for each column or each row. We need to include one possibility, one allele from box 1 and one allele from box 2. And I will show you exactly what I mean. I will show you. So, what are the possibilities that the offspring could inherit from a parent? One parent. It could inherit from one parent. It could inherit round yellow seeds. So, round from box 1, yellow from box 2. It could inherit round green seeds. It could inherit wrinkled yellow or wrinkled green. And same for the other parent. Round yellow, round green, wrinkled yellow, wrinkled green. So let's use that to construct a massive Punnett square. There we go. Let's draw up the columns. Let's draw up the rows. There we go. And how do we fill it in? Well, very similarly to previous genetic diagrams. So I will show you. So we have here one from box 1, one from box 2, box 1, box 2, and so on. Okay. So we are mixing. So we are basically throwing together all of these alleles now to give us a full genotype. So here we can have round round and yellow yellow. Here we have round round and yellow green. Here we have round wrinkled and yellow yellow. And here we have round wrinkled and yellow green. And that's how we would fill in the whole thing. But because it would take us quite a while to do all of that, I already have prepared it for you. So here's a finished table. Here's a finished table. And as you can see, there are all these possible genotypes there. And now we need to count them up. We need to count up all the phenotypes to figure out the phenotypic ratio. So one little trick that I like to use is I like to color code each box with the final phenotype that it's going to have. So I mark red for round phenotype and I mark yellow for yellow seed phenotype. So one possible phenotype is round and yellow. Another possible phenotype is round and green, wrinkled and yellow, wrinkled and green. And each of those phenotypes will have different combination of those two colors. Because red is for round, yellow is for yellow, green is for green, and that orange, neon orange is for wrinkled. So, for example, round and yellow needs to be a red dot and a yellow dot. So we can count them up easily. So all the red dots together with yellow dots. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There we go. So 9 round and yellow offspring we would have. Round and green. So we're looking for boxes with red dot and a green dot. So 1, 2, 3. So three of those offsprings would be round and green. How about wrinkled in yellow? Well, we're looking for neon orange with yellow. So we have 1, 2, 3. And for wrinkled in green, we have orange with green. So we have only 1. So that gives us the summary of the offspring we would get, statistically speaking, mathematically speaking. And this, when we put it together, 9, 3, 3, 1 would give us a phenotypic ratio of 9, 3, 3, 1. Now, if in the exam situation you don't have access to those crayons or markers of all these different colors, you can use different markings like crosses, circles, triangles, squares to sort of essentially utilize the same trick in exam setting. Okay, so this is it for today. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it every time you guys watch. If you want to stay up to date with daily science, maths, and some university level biomedical sciences videos, hit that subscribe button below, and if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, just ask me in comments. I am more than happy to help you out with anything you may be struggling with, and see you next time.